Well, what we got here is one of Jens Pulver's guys. I mean, this is Jason HoleChec out of Kearney, Nebraska, and he's fighting Martin Sellers here out of North Platte. Tell me what it's like when you're fighting somebody that's walking to the cage with Jens Pulver.
Well, I'm sure that's got to be intimidating for anybody. That would be intimidating for me. In this case, both guys were very good high school wrestlers. Jason HoleChec wrestled at Midland Lutheran, and Martin Sellers was offered scholarships for NAIA wrestling. So it's really kind of hard to say how this will match up. But I do think that Jens Pulver being in somebody's corner, it would have to be in the mind of the opponent. It would have to be.
Psychological in these young athletes is a big part. I was always an anxiety kid. Like my day of the fight, I'm thinking, why am I doing this? This guy's going to hit me. I should golf. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's got to play a part. But here they're going to get going now. Tell me, what's either one of these fighters really going to start looking for right off the bat?
Being both wrestlers is in making debuts, you don't know. Sometimes debut fighters, they just come out of the gate guns blazing. Others, if they get hit in a bad position, they go to what they know, wrestling. And in this case, that's probably what HoleChec's going to go to. It just depends on where that person's mindset's at in the fight, what kind of pressure's being put on them.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're having any problems going to blows right off the bat. Now they are going to the wrestling backgrounds, and you're seeing a takedown attempt with a great defense, high crotch defense.
That was a fantastic defense.
Oh, a nice knee right there to the midsection.
Martin looks a little softer, so, I don't know at the amateur level that fighters think, hey, I should go to the body. This guy looks a little softer. But with trainers like Jens Pulver, that could be something that's, drilled in the gym.
Yeah, and it's looking like cardio might be the effect. You hate to judge a book by its cover, but sometimes when you're seeing the athlete and once again getting to the stage of amateurs, a lot of these amateurs are as good as some of the pros were back when we fought.
Absolutely. That's the truth. And a lot of these guys, it's their first fight. They're nervous, as with any fighter, but for a guy that's making his debut, it's even more of an issue with your cardio.
Oh, nice exchange right there. And they're not scared to throw hands. They are here to perform.
As a matchmaker, I'm happy to see two wrestlers standing straight.
You're exactly right. And that's something you don't always see.
Yeah, absolutely. Kicks the show off great for the fans.
I've heard that when this crowd gets going in North Platte, Nebraska, it can get crazy.
It's insane. This is a railroad town. This is a fight town. They love their fighting sports, that's for sure.
Oh, look at that, a
nice
switch kick. And that from a big guy who's a wrestler. Where's he learning this?
I would say Martin Sellers is not too worried that Jens Pulver is in HoleChec's corner.
No, he's not. That's a great point.
I would be, but he's not.
He's squashing that. Well, he's got a bulldog shaved in the back of his head, so he's either got a real mean barber or a great approach to this fight.
North Platte High School mascot is the Bulldogs. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, yeah, I can tell you what. I'll have Jens tell you the sneeze on the back of a head story lately, but a lot of bad things can happen in barber chair. Look at that exchange.
Nice.
And
nice
he's taking another. He is not intimidated at all.
Nice.
The Bulldogs going right at him. Most Sellers going.
That was amazing exchange and a nice defense by HoleChec. Instead of doing what a lot of amateurs would do and let themselves get pinned against the cage, he circled out.
Nice takedown, nice sweep, and now he's going straight to mount. Tell me what you're seeing here.
This is a very, very bad spot, but just as I say that,
saved by the bell.
Saved by the bell. That was a nice round for two debut guys. That was some amazing action. I'm impressed.
That was fantastic action. How would you score that?
Well, that's a tough one. I may give an edge to Sellers on that 10-9, but it's very, very close just because they're evenly matched. But one did get a takedown. In some judges' eyes, that goes a little higher, but then you get a reversal, which may not count in MMA like it does in wrestling, but it has to weigh in the minds of the judges. Like, wait, this guy got taken down, but instantly reverse position.
He's overcoming.
Right, and then the guy turns around and mounts him. So, if you looked at the submission, the positions, the submission attempts, takedowns, maybe HoleChec 10-9, but maybe Sellers 10-9 because he pretty much controlled the stand-up. So it's really, I wouldn't want to judge that one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad to be in this chair.
Absolutely.
And at this time, I want to take you
take the time to talk a little bit about Path to Championship Network, because it is dedicated to the future of champions, and we provide the exclusive live broadcast, in-depth interview, and behind-the-scenes coverage to your phone, to your TV, and pretty much anywhere you can be if you have one of these here laptops. That is Path to Championship Network, P2CN.TV. Here we are in the second round. Now, what is Sellers thinking in his head after being just mounted?
Well, I think Sellers should be happy with this performance. I think both guys should be happy. They shouldn't feel any worry. Sellers is probably going to feel even more confident because HoleChec is the college wrestler. You know, he did wrestle at college. So if I was Sellers, I'd be feeling pretty good right now, you know?
Yeah, what Sellers is doing is he's coming at you with punches. He's now throwing leg kicks. I mean, whoever's training him, soft is not the word to use.
No. I mean, like I said, Sellers is a very big kid. Obviously, this fight at 85, the guy could probably fight at 70 and make that cut pretty easy. But he's brand new. He's a debut. He'll find what weight he wants to be at.
And you know what? You bring up a great point once again. Oh, another nice exchange. Oh, nice block with the knee. But let's keep this in mind, America. These guys are not to be judged. They're amateurs. This is their first fight. This is their debut. Just because the show is big, the crowd is big, they don't have to be. Look at that slam! Nice takedown by Sellers. Wow!
I'm telling you, these guys are debut fighters. They have not fought yet, and I'm impressed.
You can't talk me into that. I'll buy any used car from you. These guys look like they've been there before.
I'm impressed. I mean, I match made it. You think I wouldn't be impressed, but like I said, with debut guys, you don't know what they're going to do or what they can do in the cage until you see it, and I'm impressed.
I tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to punk either one of these two off the monkey bars.
No. Maybe the slide, but I'll leave them alone on the monkey bars.
I tell you what, I like slides because it's easier to go down. I just hate to walk up.
I knew you'd like to go down, Kurt.
Now he is controlling him with a side mount. What does HoleChec got to do here?
Well, you know, what he needs to do is get out of the cage, first of all. You know, shrimp, maybe get your guard back, but, you know, he could be tired. That was a pretty good slam. He's taking some shots. He's giving some back. I mean, honestly, I don't want to say elementary and pretty basic, but getting the guard
big
back,
elbows there.
Getting the guard back from here is pretty basic, but we also don't know.
Oh, big elbows. No, elbows to the body.
Nice elbows to the body, and it just keeps taking it out of your opponent. And what I was saying, we don't know what Sellers weighed in at 85, but we don't know what he's at today. That's a big boy to keep off.
Yeah,
here.
that's definitely a whole lot of amateur fighter right there. Now, what do you mean by shrimping? What is shrimping?
Shrimping is just it's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu technique for getting your guard back. You know, pushing on the knee so you can get your leg up and around his hip to pull him back to full guard where your legs are wrapped around his body. Which he's got HoleChec's got half guard, so he actually should. If he starts focusing, he can get that leg that's in between Sellers' legs out pretty easy. But Sellers is doing a good job keeping the pressure on with the punches.
He is really pounding him to the ground right now.
Ground and pound. He does not look like an 0-0 guy.
And that's the end of the second round. Wow!
Wow. And you know what? That was all Sellers. That was a 10-9 for Sellers, no doubt. Look how tired HoleChec is. It took him a while to get up. Sellers popped right back.
Well, he's had Sellers on top of him that whole second round.
I wouldn't want Sellers on top. He's a big boy.
As a matchmaker, you got to be feeling pretty groovy about yourself right now.
I'm super excited because debut guys, like I said, sometimes they come out just guns blazing. They're wild. They spend it all in one round, and they got nothing. And here, these guys have shown skill. Stand-ups, two wrestlers. Looked like it was a Thai boxing match for the first round.
It really did. And it could go either way when it's a pro debut. They could be deers in a headlight, or they could be wild and crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I said. I'm impressed with what I see so far from these guys. And you got two good gyms. You got 802, which obviously gets a lot of publicity because Jens Pulver's, heading it up. And you got Sellers coming out of top tier, which is in North Platte, Nebraska, where Ryan McDonald fights out of Brandon Bringwatt, two guys you'll see later. But I would say, Sellers, you're fighting a guy who's trained by Jens Pulver, or, and not to upplay that too much. Jens just got in that gym, so it's not like Jens has been training the kid for a year or 6 months. It's very, very short, but still, exactly. You have that experience.
Here's the beginning of the third and final round in a rowdy North Platte, Nebraska crowd. What does HoleChec really need now after what I got, a 10-8 round.
Well, he's got to pour it on. I mean, he really does. He's got to come after Sellers because Sellers is not afraid.
That's a nice takedown.
Nice takedown. I was going to say he needs to get some takedown and get some ground and pound and maybe tire out Sellers a little bit. Just work the body and see what Sellers has off the ground, you know. But he needs to start scoring some points. HoleChec does.
So you're saying he really needs something major to happen for him to win this fight?
He either needs to dominate this round 10-8 or he's got to have to put Sellers away because I believe – that Sellers, well, without a doubt, won the second round. In some eyes, it could have been 10-8. I have it 10-9. First round could have went either way. So HoleChec has got to know he's got to get busy. He got dominated in the second round.
Tell me what's going on right now. What's happening?
Well, you got HoleChec trying to pass the guard of Sellers. He wants to just work ground and pound like most amateurs. They're not going to, try too hard for too much because they can sit there in somebody's guard and drop elbows, work the body. But what Sellers needs to do is he can't lay there. He either needs to be working for submissions or he needs to be trying to get a better position.
I mean, you never want to let it go to the judges if you don't have to.
Absolutely not. You should never try to. Granted, you can't, control all of it, but you should never try to. Obviously, these guys they don't have judge's decision in their mind at all. But when we're coming down to that, HoleChec, in my opinion, should feel a little bit of urgency to get something done here.
You hear some boos from the crowd. Do you think it's time for them? And they are standing them up.
Jordan
now.
Johnson, great ref, former fighter himself, so he's not going to allow that to happen. He knows what's going on in there.
Now here they go back up it, and you're seeing Sellers maybe looks a little winded, as well as maybe HoleChec. Tell me, what's the difference in the length of rounds as opposed amateur to professional?
Well, amateurs fight 3 3-minute rounds. If it's a title fight, which we have 4 of tonight, there are 3 4-minute rounds. Pros fight 3 5-minute rounds, and then title fights are 5 5-minute rounds. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but you, being a fighter, know 2 minutes more is huge.
Absolutely. I mean, just making the transition of club wrestling into high school and collegiate when you're getting that extra minute per round, I guess you call it, is a big deal. Now,
absolutely.
These two young fighters are both given everything they got and given a heck of a performance.
Like I said, I am very impressed. I mean, two guys, debuts. Once again, I mean, we keep, driving it home, but people at home watching, remember, these guys are making their fighting debuts. They've never boxed, kickboxed. This is it. This is their first combat sports experience right here. That was a nice left hook by Sellers.
Nice.
That got Jason's attention. And
he's
what Sellers, I was just going to say, what Sellers needs to do is he was landing that leg kick, and HoleChec was dropping his hands. He needs to go to the head. Then he tried.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a Martin Sellers probably 30-27 victory.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I got it a little closer, 30-28. But, once again, they're amateurs, and just like anybody else's record, once you go pro, it kind of wipes out that amateur.
Yeah.
This is the foundation of the house.
And as we all know, with judging in MMA, what we saw could be completely different than what those guys saw. You could have another guy winning that you didn't think. You could have a split decision when you thought it was a unanimous. I mean, it's really
it's going to the judges.
If it's going to the judges, you never know.
Now, I do want to take this time to remind everybody this is a copyrighted broadcast. It is the property of MMA Futures. Any rebroadcast or reproductions without the consent of MMA Futures is prohibited. We are now going to go to Mike Kendall, ringside.
3 rounds of MMA. We call the judges' scorecards. Your judges score this bout a split decision for your winner out of the blue corner, Martin Sellers. Congratulations, Martin. Give us your thoughts on the fight. Anybody you'd like to thank out there?
First off, I'd like to thank God, all my training partners, my parents, my girlfriend, everybody that supported me. And thank North Platte for giving me the opportunity, Kelly Wiseman, MCF, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time for Martin Sellers III.